All right, we are back after a shortish break. Went down and clipped some herbs for dinner. Okay. In pondering this, I've decided I really want to bring up more of this yellow gold. Just kind of mix it all around with the green a bit. Still trying to figure out what these forms are doing. I don't know yet. It's part of the fun. If you don't know, a common, I don't know if it's common actually, because everybody's different, neurodivergent trait can be, for some people, really enjoying pattern finding, pattern sensing. And I fall into that camp about 1000%. So it's all very visual for me. Actually, that's not true. It's visual, and it's thinking and learning and making connections between things. That's why I love research. So anyways, a little tangent there on how all this blends together for me. I've been trying to think how to do videos on all this, and it's all so tangled up together that it's hard for me sometimes to figure out how I should explain it to people and share it with them. So, and feel free to leave comments and let me know how I'm doing and what works for you and what doesn't. It's the only way things change is to communicate. I appreciate feedback. So another trick or rule or technique in two-dimensional art is, if you want something to look like it's in the farther back, you keep it blurry, a little muddy. And then if you want something to pop out and look like it's closer, it's brighter and sharper. There's a lot of technique in painting that is part of the process. You have to know the techniques to then manipulate them. And you only learn the techniques by trying them and experimenting and often failing, but learning. And it's, I'm sure on my cell phone camera, not easy to see, but I'll show a close-up later, but there's a textural difference because this background was all put on a couple layers ago and is much softer and has less paint buildup on it. So there's actual, from a new materialist standpoint, there's actually thicker paint building up on the surface at a very tiny level, especially with the glazes. So, and again, when I say it's painting as thinking, I'm a thinking and a painting. It's kind of how it works in this brain. Part of the reason I want to share is I'm curious if other people have this tendency, this interest, this insight into themselves. Probably looks different since neurodivergent people are unique. It's always interesting to meet people and start figuring out what you have in common and what's uniquely your own thing you're doing. I need a bit of a smaller brush. So the other thing with my paintings that is intentional is to making them, especially because they're abstract, is make them interesting from a distance. From far away, from across a room, you'd be like, whoa, what is that? Little bright orange glowing thing. And then as you get closer, and then, because especially on small paintings, I haven't worked really large in a long time, but with small paintings, I really enjoy getting up in the really fine details. This is a pretty, well, let's see, this is a 0 size filbert. I really enjoy getting up close and working in that detailed way, which is funny because I've always said I don't really like detailed work. I don't do well with like jewelry. I tried tapestry that lasted about 3 inches worth of artwork, and then I was like, okay, I'm done with that. So it just depends on what it is. And another lovely feature is changing a lot. Actually, I need a round brush for this one. I mean, everybody changes through their lives. Usually. I guess I shouldn't make... I don't like generalizations, so I shouldn't make them. But another characteristic of neurodivergence is change. Because we're very responsive to conditions around us a lot of the time. Again, I can't generalize too much here. But some of us crave it, some of us dread it. I'm kind of both. Again, that's that autism ADHD mix. Oy. The more I learn about that, the more I just laugh and shake my head and go, oh, it's a thing. Yeah, okay. My life continues to make more and more sense. And a lot of that making sense has come from other people online sharing. So that kind of motivated me too, that other people have helped me. Maybe I can do some good for someone else. So hopefully either you just enjoy watching me paint, maybe something I say resonates with you and helps you in some way. Or at the very least gives you insights into someone else's reality. I think is always interesting. So I am bringing in a bit of definition here. Again, it's only a couple layers of kind of this, I would say watery glaze, but it was paint thinner glaze, very thin, kind of wash back there. But there's a lot of detail, so I want to kind of start building that detail up here because I want this to be, these have to hang a particular way. There's a hook on the back, and so I had to kind of pick a direction. Usually with my work, because it's abstract, it gets turned over different ways throughout the process. Sometimes, usually, often, I do it, actually I do it with my camera. It's really convenient. I take a picture and then I can kind of turn it over and look at it from different angles without having to actually get up and move the actual painting, especially if it's wet. I like being gestural. Kind of little happy interactions, let's say. If you're a new materialist, it would be interaction, but we'll keep it simple. is I mix paint on the painting. I rarely mix it on the palette. Other than I have a bunch of colors and I kind of dab them and mix them. Especially when working on a specific layer where I kind of work through the colors. And then afterwards, like, come back in and blend them back around. So, but anyways, I have no idea where I was going with that. Another really fun trait. So a lot of it is every layer doesn't go over the entire surface, and in fact each layer gets smaller and smaller usually. Occasionally there's a wash that I will put over all of it for a variety of reasons. But the time at the easel generally, especially as it starts to come together and you know where it's going to end, then it's just kind of work to get to there. But the searching in the middle is the unpredictable part. Starting's always fun. Along the way, sometimes I guess that's a relational experience for me. Sometimes I don't always know what to do right away. right. I think at this point, I've done my shadows. I've been building those up, adding in more, and I've been through that process, been picking out kind of the pattern that's emerging, which was created both randomly and intentionally through all the interplay with rags and solvent and whatnot. I think what I'm going to do last is put in some white highlights. Again, assuming there's going to be more layers on top, so I've kind of lost the bright tones. And I want to bring those back out in the pink to kind of finish up the shading and the building of the forms. So, all that being said, I need a clean brush. I think we're going to use a pretty small one. That's 0 again. All right. Just kind of, I don't want to put pure white down, it's a little too harsh. But I've used a lot of the alizarin crimson. And I think I'm going to use the small I've used today, which, what color is that? Permanent Violet Medium. Let's see how that looks. It's going to be a little cooler again, which, like I said, I kind of wanted to cool this down a little bit. It's really very intense up. I don't know how I don't even know if it reads well on the camera because it's so red and purple and so we'll see. But I want to put in a few highlights here, and again we'll see. See what comes up. What comes of it. Yeah, see, so it's almost like a blue tone, kind of like that. Let's see. Again, I have to be very careful not to screw up the background that I want to leave. I have a tendency to sometimes get carried away. And you have to take chances and try things. That's how you learn, and some interesting things can happen with that. But as a mature, as a painter, I'm finding it's a delicate balance between just painting and going with it versus critically thinking again and keeping track of things as you go that you want to see. I think that's going to be hard for me doing videos while painting, because again, it is an actual thinking process for me. So as I'm talking, my mind starts to wander and go off in like 20 different directions. Thank you, ADD. And like right there. And then I have the autistic monotropism, the hyperfocus, and it's very sensory. I want to lick it. So yeah, it's it'll be interesting with recording this. Again, let me know what's working for you and what isn't. So yeah, add a little bit of highlight, and then I'm gonna let this guy dry for a bit. Yeah, that's nice. Kind of purpley glow. Ooh, that's very tasty. Okay, maybe we want more of that. really like that against the orange because it's kind of this peachy orange in the background. And this permanent violet medium has a blue hue to it, so it's kind of got a little bit of a glow to it. It's kind of cool. All right, let me blend that. Let's see what happens. That has orange on it. That's probably a bad idea. Color wheel. What do blue and orange make? The answer is yuck. Or brown. So it makes a lovely brown shade if you're looking for earth tones. Just use contrasting colors. I rarely use black. It's usually contrasting colors mixed together and getting muddied up. All right. Clean blender. Yeah, I like that. It has a cool glow to it. The other nice thing with making videos is it's actually, I often think, as I'm painting, oh, I should write all this down. And of course, when I'm done, I'm not painting anymore. I'm not thinking about it. So, I guess at the very least, this is a good studio diary for me. Now, this is interesting. Again, fun oil painting deal. I don't know what to call it. So everything's still wet on here. If I touch it, it's going to be on my finger. And because I cleaned this brush, it's not dry anymore. It has a little bit of solvent on it. And so I can push this purple around that I'm adding and build up texture similar to what I did back here in the background. It's just, there's more layers underneath it. So there is, I guess you could say, like a sculptural quality to this in that the layers are actual physical layers, and the interplay of light waves on the molecules bounce back to our eyes. Nice thing about this middle stage, where you kind of don't really know where it's going to end up yet, is it leaves a lot of room for play, which is how I can get myself in trouble, just following something and being really enthralled with what's happening, and then all of a sudden the whole painting looks like that, where I end up going over layers I really wanted to keep. So it's kind of for me, a delicate balance between paying attention and letting go. And then I think last, I'm going to bring up some of the orange in here. Let's try it and see what it does. This purple white almost looks fluorescent from some angles, which is pretty cool. All right, so I want a bit of orange Chinese lake is my go-to. It's yummy. Just love it. And I just want to intensify this in some areas just a little bit. Again, kind of developing forms, background from foreground and all the layers in between. So just a little bit. I don't want to get carried away here. Not sure how I feel about this. I'll make sure I don't grab the purple white one. This is the fuchsia color blender. Again, I'm sure my camera does not capture the detail I'm actually seeing here. I'll try to show you in the video. But it's really delicately moving the paint around and trying to decide where it needs to go. So I think I'm going to leave this for now. Just a little bit of last minute. Is there anything that's really bugging me? Knowing again it's not done. Actually, yes. A bit more white and green for later. Laying the groundwork. Later layers. So I'll do this, I'll go back and forth, blending, then touching it back up, more blending. Sometimes we get there and sometimes we don't. The journey is a wonderful, wonderful experience. I try not to get too attached to anything anymore. Nice things big and old. All right. I don't feel like getting brand new brushes out, so I usually try to keep it to a minimum. Depends on how long I paint, how big the painting is, and what I'm doing. But I'm gonna use a little bit more of this fuchsia, the dark color. So again, the wonders of oil paint. These layers are starting to tack up a little bit. And so here I am. What is it? This is kind of cool. What if we do it here? This is where you can go off the rails if you're not careful. But I try not to be afraid. And instead, just let it kind of do what it wants to do, and in kind of a delicate balance between intuition, very much gut. I'm realizing I have kind of the classic autism gut. It's very sensitive, moody, problematic. Fascinating research about how the mind and gut and emotions and all these things fit together. Try not to walk away too quickly if I have the time. Sometimes I don't always have the luxury of hanging out, but hanging out's also part of it. I'm doing just starting new research on creativity, and I think that aspect of innovation is very hard to reconcile with efficiency. But again, details matter in the industry, what the goals are. This purple and orange up here is just really, really tasty. Just want to make it a little bit more dramatic. I like it. So when I talk about my artwork being iterative, it's this circling around and around, layer after layer, sometimes, in the same sitting when it's all wet, because it's the interplay of the oil paint, the various layers as they dry. Some colors don't dry as fast as others either. But that's what I mean by iterative. Emergent and iterative. Wow, that sounds really weird when I say it out loud like that. Very nice. I like it. All right. I am... Last thing I'm going to do is a pinch of white on that orange that I put down. Again, just to plant some highlights for the next layer. I decided to debate whether to go over this line or not, and I decided to go for it. Choice made, a path taken. I have to live with it. Let's see, where are we here? Alright, I need to clean this blending brush again. And dry it off really well. I don't want it soaked with solvent. And so I want to just delicately kind of blend this in. And because it's white on the orange, it's blending in on a wet background. It's wet on wet. So again, you get different effects depending on how you put the paint on. And again, you just have to paint to know what will happen. That's just experience. Know-how. All right, so I'm circling around this big bold guy, trying to decide what to do with him. Plus, there's a little too much paint on there. I got carried away. So, I don't want to lose some of the quality, but I want to blend it down a little bit. However, this also provides an opportunity to do some cool things with it. I just gotta go slow, because once I brush it out, you can't go back. This is a one-way street for what the choice is, and then once you make that choice, now that the other choices no longer exist. So in economics, they call that opportunity cost. It applies to oil painting as well. So I'm almost done. I've decided to just get in here in this purple. So I'm picking some of that up and just kind of doing any last minute blending of anything that's bugging me that I don't want to leave that way, because this layer will dry. But I'm pretty happy with it overall. Actually, all right, still not done. I don't like this limey green down here. It's just not working for me. So, and I like what happened here. So, I'm going to do a sploosh of white, which I think I might have done there earlier, and blend it out. But it's kind of this back and forth, like I said, of making something pop and this gives a sense of motion too when it gets kind of this dragged. There. I think I feel good about that. Though I kind of want a little white down here, just to continue this. I want it to be a little organic, so I spun the brush as I did that. Just so it gives it this little hook. Like you kind of lose control when you do that. So again, it's an interplay of all the tools and everything together. Interesting. All right. I think we're going to leave it there. I can live with that. Oh, no, wait, sorry. One more. It's a little too hard. Okay. All right, we're going to live with that. Thanks for watching. Subscribe so you can see the next layer. Like, comment, tell me what you think. Feedback's always welcome. Be specific, that really helps. Thanks a lot.